Hello, and welcome back to another 10 Minutes with Professor Abrantes, where we ask Professor Abrantes your burning questions and he answers through the lens of ethology. We have a good one today. It goes right to the heart of ethology. The question is, a dog is not a wolf. Is it? Professor Abrantes, now this is something that you have studied in depth. If there's anybody who's going to give us a good answer here, it's you. So let me ask you, is it wrong to compare dogs and wolves?
No, it's not wrong, not at all. Comparing in ethology means to find similarities and to find differences as well. You asked the question whether a dog is a wolf or a wolf is a dog, right? Well, a wolf is not a dog and a dog is not a wolf because otherwise they would have the same name and they don't.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's a question for ethology, but it's also a question for taxonomy. The wolf that we talk about, the gray wolf, is called Canis lupus lupus, and the dog is called the Canis lupus familiaris. And alone the name tells us that they are not the same, but they are very close. And they are indeed very close to one another. There is no other two animals in the canid family that are as close as the dog and the wolf, despite the similarities between coyote and the wolf. Our dog is closer to the wolf than the coyote is. There is only 0.2% variation in the mitochondrial DNA sequence between Canis lupus lupus and Canis lupus familiaris, between the wolf and our domestic dog. With the coyote, there is a 4% variation, which is much higher. They look similar, more similar, but that is also a thing that we see very often in the evolution of species. They may look alike because of conditions. For instance, a dolphin and a shark look more alike than a dolphin and an elephant. And yet dolphins are mammals, and elephants are mammals, and sharks are fish. But there are differences, and we have studied them. I will recommend viewers to check our course at the Ethology Institute called Canine Behavior. Domestication caused some differences. One of the differences is a reduction in cooperative tendencies in dogs, which is mainly because of the significantly reduced cooperative breeding and hunting in dogs compared to wolves. By the way, everything that I tell you here, it's documented. It's nothing. It's not my opinion.
We'll put up a link to it so you can get to it. We'll put them right.
Yes,
below.
but I think that is important. Free-ranging dogs rarely form monogamous pairs, and group members rarely feed puppies other than their mother. In wolves, again, you see the whole pack feeds the youngsters when they are cubs in the pack, of course. Dog puppies, that was a very interesting study done by my German colleague Dorit Fiedlers and Peterson in 1991. Dog puppies show higher level of aggressive behavior than wolf cubs. You know, it's surprising because people were expecting the opposite because of domestication, but it's not true. In general, Fiedlers and Peterson also found out that the ranking order, the hierarchy, is a lot steeper in dogs than it is in wolves, which results in a considerable social distance between the high-ranking animals and the rest of the group. In dogs, the agonistic interactions, they often reach levels of high aggression because the dogs lack most strategies that wolves commonly use to solve conflicts. And they also show they are not as good at displaying dominant and submissive behavior as the wolves are. And therefore, the conflicts tend to escalate in dogs more than in wolves. The studies also suggest that the structure of the dog packs are relatively similar to that of wolf family packs. And in small wolf family packs, both the breeding male and the breeding female share leadership of the pack.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is there any value from studying wolves and wild dogs as it relates to our
Yes,
domestic dogs?
yes, yes, there is. You can see these differences that I told you. Why dog puppies show a higher level of aggressive behavior than wolf cubs?
Mhm.
Why are wolves better at cooperating than our dogs? Why leadership of a group is shared differently in wolves and in dogs? And all that can teach us a little bit or quite a lot our role in it, not only the domestication effect, because of course we change the genes, but very little. As I told you to start with, the difference is very little. We change their appearance, but most of our dogs, if you and that is proven, if you look at it, the studies done by researchers in Italy or with the feral dogs and even with the stray dogs of Rome, you leave them out and they survive. Maybe one of the most contrasting differences is that a wolf pack is much better organized, and in dogs also, but not wolves, by the way. The high-ranking animals show more aggressive behavior than lower rankings ones as to the monopolizing of the food. Wolves are also more tolerant than dogs during feeding competition. You remember we talked about resource guarding, right? Dogs develop a kind of steeper hierarchy that inhibits aggression directed towards higher ranking group members, the dogs. But wolves are more tolerant during feeding. So yes, I think we can learn a lot. And I don't know why people almost feel insulted when we compare dogs with the wolves. I mean, if I were a dog and someone compared me with a wolf, I would be honored by it. The wolf is a great animal.
I think sometimes it comes from talking about the environments, because if we say, a wolf does this, we talk about the feeding program, for instance, and we get comments like, well, dogs are not wolves and our environments are not unnatural because living in our houses is now the natural environment for our dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
How do you answer that question?
It is and it is not. Uh,
Okay.
of course, it is the natural environment for our dogs, but tell that to their genes, because their genes, their DNA, uh, has a lot of wild dog, if you prefer me to call it a wild dog, in it. Or if we go some thousands of years back, has a lot of common ancestor with the wolf in it. So yes, the natural environment for our dogs are our homes. But let me ask you a question: do their genes know that?
Yeah, probably not, right?
It's a good question. Yeah,
It is a good question. That is a good
I
question.
think we should be balanced, and we should recognize the differences when they are there, and we should recognize the similarities when they are there too. And we can learn a lot by studying nature and by studying the animals that we haven't yet influenced to the point of almost not being able to recognize them in their wild cousins. We can learn a lot, because remember that what we do to the dog, everything that we do, every change that we do, is taking the dog away from how it evolved naturally, and that is a price. We pay a price for that. Much of the problem behavior that we see in dogs these days, it's a result of that. We have removed the dog too far away from what his genetic blueprint tells it it's right, and problems arise, of course, when
Yeah.
the cultural evolution is much faster than the biological evolution.
Well said. Well said. And that about does our 10 minutes. If you have suggestions for topics you'd like to see on 10 Minutes with Professor Abrantes, please send them our way and we will try to answer your questions here. Once again, if you would like to learn more, there is a wealth of information at Ethology EU. We have courses that are created by Professor Abrantes. We have certification programs. We have free videos and articles, all kinds of good stuff for you at Ethology EU. Definitely want to check it out. And we will be back next time with 10 minutes with Professor Abrantes. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very